Fundamental of architecture. Architecture. Architecture is the art or practice of designing and constructing buildings. Architecture is a language that we understand because we inhabit buildings, they surround us and create our world. To achieve a piece of architecture requires engaging with the process of thinking, drawing and designing, a process that ultimately produces a building. Thinking, creative process, drawing, designing. Site or context. Site or context, concept or idea, form, functions or activities, further development, structural system, material. This process begins with an idea or concept that relates to a particular site or context. It further develops into form, which will have functions or activities associated with it. This form is then further developed structurally as a frame or system, and materially with a skin of wrapping. It is finally realized, framing experiences of light, sound, space. The word architecture can be defined as archi meaning chief and tecton meaning builder or carpenter. This definition demonstrates the fundamental basis of architecture. As chief builder, an architect needs to have an overview of building, both as an object produced and as an activity of construction. This overview requires an understanding of the context of the building, landscape or the city, and an understanding of the building itself in terms of its underlying concept or idea, its functions or uses, and its materiality and structure. Now, buildings can be understood as series of rooms, connected spaces leading from outside to inside. Considerations is the control of light and sound in those rooms and furniture that inhabits the spaces. At its simplest form, architecture can be about designing spaces or rooms, or at its most complex, designing buildings, streets, and cities. Architecture is about form and space making, but it also deals with functions and how function affects form. Architecture also has to contain light, sound, heat, and respond to a range of other issues that make an environment comfortable for human habitation. Architecture is nothing more and nothing less than the gift of making places for human purposes. Spiro Kostov, an architectural historian. Architecture is generally conceived, designed, and realized built in response to an existing set of conditions. These conditions may be purely functional in nature, or they may also reflect in varying degrees the social, political, and economical climate. Francis Dickinson in Architecture, Form, Space, and Order. Summing up the word architecture is the composite word of two, arc and texture. Arc, concave construction of stones, other building materials, and texture, the techniques for providing support to the arc to transfer incumbent weight of the arc to the ground. So architecture also tells how to provide support, build building economically in the terms of materials and spaces. Mostly architecture is represented by a building which meets all the logical functions satisfactorily while maintaining soundness in construction and buildings and beautiful composition. In conclusion, architecture is more architecture is both the process and product of planning, designing and constructing space that reflects functional, social and aesthetic considerations. It requires the manipulation and coordination of materials, technology, light, shadow and others. A wider definition may comprise all design activities from macro level, urban design, landscape architecture to the micro level, construction details and interiors, etc. Architecture can be Architecture can be symbolic and have meaning associated with it. This could be religious, a temple, for example, or an association with national identities such as government offices. All significant cities have architectural icons associated with them, from the Eiffel Tower in the Paris to the Opera House in Australia to Durbar Squares in Kathmandu, Bhaktapur, and Patan. Architecture helps people to identify with places and cultures, and buildings can have an impact beyond the user's physical experience of them. Architecture is art, art of building design, creative art, utilitarian art, social art, mother of all arts. Science includes systematic process, design process, and principles. Systematic way of doing things, skillful technique, technology, structure and enclosure, buildings erect with the help of technology, comfort, safety and protection, proper use of material. Architecture is mother of all arts. Architecture as the mother of all arts is recognized as the valid form of creative art because something is formed where nothing once existed. Any architectural training includes making, drawing, modeling, or constructing the belief that architectural education is inherently creative. While the artists work from the reality to abstract, the architects have to work from the abstract to fact. Architecture is the mother of all arts. Without a wall to hang it on, what is the point of a painting a picture? Sculptures do not stand alone, but in a design space and for a purpose to enhance the owner's surrounding and status. Architecture does what no other art can do. All other art forms recreate some portion of the world, for example, a single human figure or a two-dimensional scene on a canvas. Only architecture can create a total environment, one that literally surrounds the viewer. Architecture creates a man-made, idealized world, an environment created by the architect to fit the kind of life he sees as proper to man. Architecture conveys a few view of man indirectly, not by projecting an image of man himself as sculpture, painting and literature do, but by projecting a proper environment for man to live. Arts, technique arts, phonetic arts, aesthetic arts. Technique arts deals with practical usefulness, stands for goodness. Phonetic arts related with language and gestures, stands for expression of truth. Aesthetic arts deals with beauty or pleasant appearance, stands for beauty. Architecture is the combination of all these three arts. Architecture is all about creating functional spaces for specific activities. Architecture is all about creating comfortable, habitable spaces for the occupant. This means architecture is also for mental and physical benefit of human beings from utilitarian point of view. Architecture is the public art and a part of architecture is language. We understand old traditional buildings because they signal to us things about our culture. The same thing is true for new museums. They have to signal the connection between that past and in the future. Daniel Leviskind. Architecture stimulates a sense of appreciation and kindly imagination in the minds of those who look at it. A good building with its imposing mass and graceful outlines produces happiness and enjoyment on seeing it. The aim of architecture is to give such satisfaction and enjoyment. Architecture is giving the shape to the imagination by addressing technical usefulness, critical thinking, and providing magnificence to the structure. Thus, architecture is mother of all arts, where architecture links all different arts to provide form to human imagination to provide shelter for human being. Factors influencing architecture. Typical architecture in Gurung settlement in Tampus. Typical architecture in Tharu village in Sauraha. What could be the factors for this difference in architecture? Architecture in Newari settlement in Bhaktapur. Architecture seen in residential area in Kathmandu. Factors influencing architecture. Context, climate, geography/topography, geology, religion, culture, technology, building materials plus construction systems, client, program, codes and regulations, cost or slash budget, design changes. Context. Contextual factors include the nature of the surrounding fabric of natural and built elements. Existing patterns and characteristics of this fabric can provide clues or starting points for approaching site development as well as the building design, influencing its configuration and use of materials, colors, and textures. Climate. Climate is the measure of temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, wind, rainfall, snowfall, and sunpath during the different times of the year that determine a region's local weather patterns year round. Climate can be affected by an area's local landscape, such as mountain regions or flatlands, as well as by weather. Climate is a major determining factor in what sorts of buildings are constructed and how they are built. For example, in traditional architecture, which uses only locally sourced resources and materials and does not make use of advanced technology to protect residents from adverse local weather. Another example is use of insulation in buildings in cool region. Geography/topography. The design is influenced by the land topography as it affects how the building will be built and whether it can be on the plot of land. The water tables determines the types of foundations and their depth. Geology. The type of terrain can also affect the architectural design. That's why it is highly advisable to study the terrain and adapt the design to its surrounding. Soil quality also influences the architectural design as the soil might not be strong enough or compact to hold a large weight of a building or keep the foundation stable. Religion. The type of religion a country is influenced by affects the type of structure being built. Example, in ancient Greece, they had a strong belief in their god and goddesses. That's why their most monumental and grand buildings are their temples. Culture. It is important to consider how, when, where, and why people do things. We must understand and learn their lifestyle in order to merge the culture with the structure. Culture also determines the architectural design. For example, if the client is Chinese, their preference could be a building according to Feng Shui beliefs. Technology. Building materials plus construction systems. Architecture can vary according to the construction technology and building materials used to build the structures. New materials and technologies generated new design challenges and construction methods throughout the evolution of building. Client. Some clients have a clear idea of a program, budget, and other project objectives, including the final appearance of the building. Others look to their architect to help them define the project objectives and to design a building that meets those objectives. In both cases, the effectiveness of the relationship between client and architect is a major factor in making and implementing design decisions throughout the project. Program. Pro, program. All clients have a series of aspirations, requirements, and limitations to be met in design. The program provides a place for identifying and delineating these factors and any number of related considerations. The program may be short or long, general or specific, descriptive of needs, or suggestive of solutions. Codes and regulations. Regulatory constraints on design have increased steadily, beginning with simply beginning with simple safety requirements and minimal land use and light and air zoning. Building codes and regulations have grown into a major force in design that regulates every aspect of design and construction. Cost/budget. Cost has a major influence on subsequent design decisions from building size and to material selection and detailing. Design changes. Changing design could cost a big amount to the client as they would restart the complete design process. It will also affect the period of project completion. This can also lead to hiring new architects. Basis for development of architecture. The development of architecture took place on the basis of life, love, hope, and death. Life, shelter for protection. In earlier times, man lived in jungles with the wild beasts. He knew that he had to protect himself from the harsh changing weather and the wild animals around him since he wanted to survive and live safely. Initially, man started looking for ready made dwellings, nature made like rock cut caves, dolmen, etc. Life. Early man did not have a permanent shelter. He kept wandering from place to place for food. Wherever the rock cut caves were not an option, he started using reeds for building huts and saplings for making tents hidden on bark. Gradually, the ancient cavemen started advancing by trying different building materials for the construction of homes. Today, we are aware of amazing constructions happening around the world: palaces, hotels, skyscrapers, etc. The advancement in technology has changed the scenario of architecture. Love demonstrate affection to loved ones. There are many monuments built as the sign of love. Taj Mahal, one of the seven wonders of the world, was built by Emperor Shah Jahan of Delhi as a token of love for his beloved wife Mumtaz. Hope spiritualism. Various religious buildings have been built all over the world, such as temples, mosques, churches, etc. The finest example of hope for the development of architecture is the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Pyramids were constructed to preserve the dead bodies of royal people in the form of mummies with the only hope that they will secure immortality someday and will come back to life. Tomb of Akbar, Jewish Museum, Berlin, Gateway Ark in Missouri. Date as a memorial of loved ones. It is clearly evident that the result of date and its influence of architecture is towards the construction of tombs and various monumental buildings in the memory of great people. Architecture is indeed a splendid field. It provided homes for living creatures, shrines for gods, and tombs for the dead. So, this much for today, guys. Thank you.